What if a quiet patient reveals something that completely changes how I see nursing? It was a regular busy day at the hospital. I had many patients, including an older, frail woman. I'll call her Mrs. Johnson. Mrs. Johnson had been on the unit for 3 days and haven't spoken a word. The doctor diagnosed her with dementia, and we used gestures and touch to communicate. She'd sit and stare out, and as I came by, she'd grab my hand. On the third day, something surprisingly happened. As I was walking by the room, I heard a voice. It was coming from Mrs. Johnson's room. So I rushed inside, and there was Miss Johnson. She was sitting on the bed, staring through the window. Her lips were moving as if she's saying something. I was shocked. Mrs. Johnson hadn't spoken 3 days. I moved close to her, and just above a whisper, I said to Miss Johnson, "Are you saying something, Mrs. Johnson?" She looked at me and she said, "I've been waiting for you." My curiosity piqued. I wanted to know what Miss Johnson had to say. I grabbed a chair and I came even closer to her. And after a moment of pause, she said, "I wanted to tell my daughter that I'm sorry." Her voice was frail as the wind. That struck me like a ton of bricks. I spent a few moments with Miss Johnson, and later while going through her chart, I discovered that her daughter hadn't visited her for years due to a family dispute. Mrs. Johnson wasn't silent because of dementia. She was holding on to that emotional pain and sadness. From this experience, I learned that silence doesn't always mean nothing is wrong. Even in our busiest schedule, just a quick check, a kind word, a gentle touch can open the doors to what's really going on with our patient. Compassionate listening doesn't have to take a long conversation. Emotional healing doesn't have to take extra time. It's the connection, letting our patient know that we are there for them. Even during our busiest schedule can be that smallest act of compassion that leads to the healing that they need.